Hi, I'm Mario Martinez Jr., CEO and founder of Vengreso, the modern sales training company. And in this particular video, you're going to have a chance to watch one of the components of what we go through to hire a remote selling organization. Now, this is very specific to our panel interview process, and this is the final step in hiring a remote selling team that a seller would go through in our organization. In this process, we take our sellers through a sales simulation, and it has three parts: the introduction, the presentation, and closing and next steps. The introduction is 5 minutes long, the presentation is 30 minutes long, and the closing, 10 minutes to close out and create the next step question. This is an entire sales simulation. They get the agenda in advance, and they understand who all the folks are that are going to be at this meeting. So we get a chance to see what they're going to do prior to the meeting. What you're going to watch in this video specifically surrounds the actual panel interview, as we call it. And in that panel interview, specifically in the 30 minutes, that second section, that presentation, they're going to cover three things. A seller will cover why them, so we call it the why you slide. Tell us, why do you think you're a perfect fit for the role? The second section in 10 minutes is why Vengreso, or why your company. So they have to do their research about why the company and answer it as if they're selling to a prospect the services from our company. And the third segment of that 30 minutes, which again is another 10 minutes, a total of 10, 10, and 10 for 30, is a teachable moment. We want them to teach us something that they are passionate about. Could be about bonsai trees, could be about skateboarding, could be about a struggle, anything like that that will help us see their presentation skills and come to life. And we give them a very specific agenda, and we stick very closely to that time. What you will see in this next video is one of our live presentations done by one of the sales reps that we hired in our organization. If you want to be able to get more details on how to hire a remote selling team, make sure you take a look at the blog article that is talking about 5 steps for creating a successful remote selling organization. You will get a lot of value from that particular article. In the meantime, enjoy this video and watch how one of our sellers who was hired completed his panel interview.
So as you know, Frank Cerna, I'm going to be leading this presentation. I'm going to go over from the beginning to end.
For everybody who's joining, Frank is interviewing for our AE SMB role, is what we currently have him slated for.
I time myself the entire day to make sure it's 30 minutes. So I'm going to start again. Perfect. So can everybody see my presentation?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So as I mentioned before, the introduction, we have gone over. We got to know each other a little bit more. We know who we are. We know what we do. You guys think to Mario know what I'm applying for, that position specifically. We're going to move on to the second topic, or the second point, which is why Frank Cerna, which is me. Okay. And I'm going to specifically give you the reasons why me. All right. Number one, that I would say, and I'm just going to, for you guys to have a reference when you see it, is the experience that I have. I have over 9 years of experience in terms of sales. Right, my background in I originally lived in Los Angeles, California. So my background comes from banking, personal banking, personal selling, customer, B2C, all of it pretty much. Then it goes on to real estate. Move on to the real estate part, which is has to do with the rejection part, where you have to deal with clients. This was actually in 2007, 2008, so not the best year, I know. However, it had to do a lot with meeting the clientele, to be able to meet people to refinance, flip houses, buy new houses. Although there was not much buying, but a lot of refinances were done during that time. And I was pretty much in charge of making the first contact, do the opening for the first 6 months. I was doing the opening part, be able to get people to like me and set up an appointment. Right. And that's kind of what the experience came, the actual sales experience, cold calling, as I call it, a lot of rejection from that side, but a lot of good experiences and you get on that area, along with the cold calling part, move on to the closer part when, after you set up the first meeting, you start communicating with the prospect. face to face. You ask them for certain documents, you build that trust, you go to their home, they come to your office, you start interacting a little bit more. Again, face to face as well. And a lot to do with escrow and things like that. A transaction that will last 4, 5, 6 months, depending on the necessity of the client. All we had at the moment was a sheet of paper, about 50 contacts, and all you knew was their address and how much they paid monthly, and your job was to make sure that you get them interested in refinancing. Where a company was at the time was a very small company that my friends and I started. Along with that, I move on to Colombia, where my experience in sales comes a little bit more from the calling, like contact center type of scenarios, where you have to call a prospect, right, directly. I work with big companies such as AT&T, such as Comcast, Microsoft, a sales manager, not only as the call calling part or the warm calling so much, but also in the leadership role, right? So aside from the experience, I want to link experience and leadership here. Okay, because yes, I have the experience of face-to-face with the clients and also on the phone with the clients, but I also have the experience of leading big teams in sales, right? I have experience in leading teams, 50, 100 agents in sales for these companies that I just mentioned. Again, in the scenarios, for example, for AT&T, different type of selling, where the client or the customer was very upset because their bill was $100 more than what it should be, and your job was to flip that and make them sell them something. You know, fixation, sell something. So kind of like a retention sell type of thing, and then move on to other scenarios like Microsoft, when you have to sell. Kind of like a certificate, or more like a, how can I say, a month-to-month payment for them to be able to have support to their computers and things like that, along with obviously the time Nokia cell phones and Surface as well, right? So it's kind of the background what I have in experience and leadership. Those are two reasons why I think a very strong candidate, and I am. Along with this experience, also have experience in terms of lead creation, right? I work for startup companies as well, such as like Open English, Compara Mejor, Gastronómica, which are companies who sell English courses, insurance for cars, and also courses for cooking and making meals. And everything was done with via lead creation, right? So a client would come over, or a prospect would look on Google, Facebook, or Open English will show up in your Instagram because you were interested in English at some point. You put your information, we'll call you, right? So my job was to lead this team, to also close sales. This is where the leadership part comes in, because as a leader, as a sales leader, your job was not only to meet the quota, which obviously is a goal, but also to lead your team. And how do you do that? By taking calls, by being able to, like understanding what your the people are going, or what your agents are suffering, what they need support on, how do you develop them. So I know both experiences, not only how to be on the field and doing the sell calling back to back, but also what is expected from above, right? What do you want from me from above? What is expectations? What are the things that hurt the most? What are the things that needs to be developed? So those are two things that I believe bring me together into this sales environment and makes me a very strong candidate for this position. Okay, so that's kind of like my experience in my leadership. And the last one I put, like I said, I'm from California, so I'm going to add Kobe Bryant here. It's the drive that I have to be able to do things. I want to learn new things, right? So like I said, I come from the background of the B2C environment, business to consumer. Business to business is a different type of animal, it's a different type of situation. But again, it has to do a lot with also creation of leads, the interest of the buyer, developing sales. In a way, there are certain things that changes, but it still sells, right? So I believe that I could develop myself, or based on the courses you're mentioning, something I talked to Mario already about, is the fact that I'm going to be able to have a chance or a platform where I can learn. And that's what I care about the most. Be able to learn, be able to get better at my craft, which is able to sell, be able to do those things. And that's something that really drives me for success. And so something that I believe inside and I can do, and I believe then with the right leadership, And I'll be honest, because sometimes it comes down to that, right? It comes up to your leader, the person who's supporting you. If this person is the right, I would say the right leader for you, or the right mentor for you, then you're gonna grow better. And I feel strongly then, based on what I read about Vengreso, what I talked to Mario about, the videos that I've seen on YouTube of everybody, then and the podcast, and I listen to, obviously there's a chance to be able to develop in different ways. And I like the product that we're selling, because it's the next generation of things. It's no longer about the cold calling. It's about how to be able to be smarter so that consumer can find us faster, right? And that's something that drives me, because that's the future, right? And we got to be focusing on that. So this is the three things, and this is pretty much the brands that I mentioned that I worked for before. 7 minutes and 45 seconds. I don't know if there's any quick questions. We should actually leave it towards the end, like I said.
Actually, I'm going to throw you a curveball, and I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
So, no problem with if you've got 2 minutes left, we might as well use it for one of them. You're right. You talked a lot about your B2C experience, Frank. I appreciate that. Is there anything that you did in advance of this presentation here from a preparation perspective? I know we spoke about some of the B2B sales books that might be of value to you. Did you do anything with that information?
Yes, actually, I purchased one book actually yesterday. One of the books that you mentioned from Miller, from Heyman. So actually, I was gonna go over that in the next presentation a little deeper. But this is kind of like why Frank overall, and I'm gonna do my big closing on the last slide.
All right. Well, we'll save that for that. Okay, my bad.
That was a layup, man.
That was a layup.
Like Kobe, laid up like Kobe.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, I mean, this is pretty much wraps up the part where the why Frank. On the last part, or the teachable moment, I want to put them all together on why specifically I feel how both of them are strong come together. But the first thing I want to do is develop a little, show you a little bit of my sales skills, or why Vengreso. Okay. So this is what I would do in the scenario based on the research that I have done, and how would I sell it to you. Okay. So, and why Vengreso? The big question is, why would you want to go with a company like Vengreso? A company has been going on 3 years, a company who perhaps is not as long as in terms of years like other companies. And to me, it's very simple, right? And it comes down to things that you obviously gonna find everywhere. And before we get to the why Vengreso, I want to show you certain numbers that obviously you can find on our website, which is 94%. And this is a number that you're already aware about. 94% of B2B buyers view multiple pieces of content from vendors that ultimately select, right? What does this mean? Then we have more, the buyers, the consumers, the people, the businesses are much smarter, right, than they were before. They want to get the information correctly. They want to know then the people who they're going to do business with are the right people, right? They want to do research on them. So 94% is a big number for that. The other one is 75%, right? 75% of B2B buyers conduct research in social channels, products, and services. So they want to know who you are. They want to know what you do. They want to know specifically what are you about, right? And that's 75%. That's a big amount of clients or consumers who actually want to do this. So you need to be aware that these are not small numbers. We're not talking about big numbers of companies who want to do the research before they do business with you, right? And this is the most scary number that you're going to see today. It's 54%. And this is something that I suffer as a salesperson, and I know how it is, right? The percentage of salespeople meeting their quota has dropped 9% over 5 years period. Now, why is this happening? This has to do a lot with the fact that perhaps there's no follow-up. Sometimes when there's small companies, people, you are the CEO, you're the person in charge. You don't have time to be able to develop your people, do follow up with them, be able to conduct meetings, go to your board. There's so many things that you have in your plate. So obviously, there's going to be always the follow up is going to be lacking, right? So those are things that really affect salespeople. And sometimes we assume that because I have a sales background, we're just going to throw them on the field and we say, you know what, you are the man. Good luck, make it happen. This is your quota. And sometimes that fails, right? Those are 3 things that you can find directly on our website. Then again, look at the sources that we have right here. This is not something that we come out from our own research. This is something that brands, other reliable websites come out with numbers, and the real numbers who are affecting your business right now. What do we propose? We help you create more sales conversation, increase win rates. Again, something you can find directly on our website. Content for sales enablement. What is this? Again, before you used to just create one piece of content, you throw it out there and you assume that everybody's going to read it and be like, listen, this is the perfect situation for me. That doesn't happen anymore. There is no one content that goes for every scenario. I mean, for every scenario, every content needs to be customized for the specific scenario your salespeople, and you need to make sure that you provide that to your salespeople, right? Again, something that I want to talk to our CEO Mario the other day was when you go fishing, right? When you go fishing, are you gonna go fishing, look after a shark? You're not gonna use a fishing pole, right? You're gonna go, you set up yourself for failure. You don't have the right tools. Are you setting your sales team with the right tools for success? Linking profile, makeover. Now, when you say makeover, you assume something weird, right? Makeup, things like that. What we propose here is to go a little further than that. Let's review everything from the headline, the summary, the multimedia. Let's change the entire frame of this. Let's develop it and specifically focus on why you're helping, meaning that the client, when they see is like, why they're helping me, why this makes sense to me, how are you going to help them, right? Do you understand what's hurting their business? Those are three things that are very important. And looking at the profile through LinkedIn, it's going to be able to help them build that trust. Because at the end of the day, sales has not changed. Sales is always being about trust. Be able to trust, create a relationship with that person, right? And since we are located in different parts of the world, sometimes we building that trust, we have to do it through content, through LinkedIn profiles to make sure that it's fitted for what I need. And the last part, which is key for me, which is driving sales and training and coaching. This is something that I believe strongly as a salesperson that you should do, and something that we're very proud of. I don't know if you know, but we were awarded the Gold Stevie for Best Sales Training Product of the Year of 2019. Now, this is not, yes, that is correct. So this is not 2010, 2012, this is 2019. This was recently, less than a year ago, we were given this specific award. And that's due to the sales training development that we have done, the follow-up that we done with our team. You pretty much have an on-demand 24/7 training material for your selling people, right? So they could be constantly developing themselves. I know for a fact that my company, Vengreso, asked me to do this every single day, and I do it daily and morning because I want to make sure I become the best I can be. So they provide me with the tools for me to go fishing for that shark the right way, pretty much. So this is the three things that we as a company can provide you, right? Now you could say, Frank, this sounds great. It's very pretty, your presentation, the numbers, you really scare me. But what about this content? This is it right here. This is the people that create the content, right? We have Mario Martinez, Kurt Shaver, Veneca von Rosen, and Bernie Gorgas, right? Now, as you can see, the titles, chief, they all have high-level titles, but what I have done, right? So what I can tell you right now that Mario Martinez and Kirk Shaver have over 40 years of experience in the sales environment.
Yeah, they're really old.
That is
Hey, you're not supposed to agree with that. Take some points off that. Points off this guy.
But that brings his experience and knowledge on the sales environment. And that's something good to be able to see. For example, Mario is a top sales influencer, right, of the Modern Sales magazine. He was promoted for that specific scenario. He is a person who will help you in terms of sales. He's being featured in Forbes, Inc. magazine, Entrepreneur. I mean, this guy has done it. He's a keynote speaker. I mean, he's done it all, right? In the case of Kirk, just to give you a brief explanation, he is in the sales environment for over 20 years, and he has put all his efforts since LinkedIn went public in 2011 to make sure that he could work with that brand, with that selling, to make sure that he could develop that specific, because he knew that was the future. So that's what Kirk has done so far, and that's one of the reasons why we have him here as our founders. Vivek, and I'm sure you have seen the videos of her. She's very active. Her picture says it all right there. Big smile. I mean, she definitely has done many things. Not only that, she's the author of the best-selling LinkedIn books, Then obviously we could provide you obviously here as well. He's been a key contributor for Fast Company, Force, Entrepreneur. I mean, she has done it all. She's not just a person who just came yesterday and now today she became the chief visibility officer. She definitely has a lot of experience. And Bernie is our marketing guru here, a person who definitely has a lot of experience. And in terms of, he actually is a host of one of our podcasts, Modern Marketing Engine, right? You should probably listen to it. It's available on Spotify. So it's
Yeah.
one of a lot of experience in terms of marketing. He actually is an author of Marketing 2.0, right? Is one of the 50 books first created in terms of sales marketing. And he brings that knowledge to this platform that we're going to provide you, right? So you not only do you have a material well created with people with a lot of experience in the business and the markets, right? Now you could say, well, Frank, that's great. It's good that you have these 4 people there, but again, how do I know this works? You don't need to ask me that. Just ask them. We have all these different companies that we're currently working for. You have CenturyLink, you see Cisco, you see Oracle, you see all these different type of companies who you know, right? Without even understanding what they do, you know what they are, right? But I want to emphasize in one specific one. It's called Miller Heyman Group. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it's one of the best, and not the best in sales training, globally recognized company, right? Now, Miller Heyman Group came to us. We're doing business with them because they see the potential that this has for the future. And if a big name like them is currently doing sales training, it's also taking advantage of us and working with us. That says a lot of our company. Okay, so this is kind of the reasons why you should go to Vengreso. Not to mention our CEO right there, right? Or the word that I already mentioned. Obviously, the for the best sales training product of the year 2019. Again, this is just a small reasons why you should go with Vengreso. We know what's hurting you. We know how to fix it. We have experience in the business over 40 years. And additional to all of this, we are working with big name companies currently getting it done. So if this is not good, if this is not good enough, I don't know what is. This is the way we do business here at Vengreso. I'm an example of Vengreso. I constantly do this training. So obviously I'm a person who was very knowledgeable about the product. So again, this is why I would choose Vengreso over any other company. I don't know. That's my presentation in terms of Vengreso.
Where do I sign?
Frank, I have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
As you know, we have 2 podcasts. We have the Modern Selling Podcast and we have the Modern Marketing Engine Podcast. So my question is, which one do you like better? And choose your answer carefully.
Ever since the first episode of Modern Marketing Engine, I was thinking, wow, this is it. This is
Good answer.
Good answer.
Nice.
That's a smart sales guy. Tell them who the best one is, but they're answering the question. I'll ask you the same one. Which one do you like better?
And choose your answer carefully.
Yes, that was a closer one right there.
I was just playing with you.
No, definitely. I have listened to one episode actually of each, and I like it. I like the environment. Obviously, I'm more into sales, so I will go over sales, but I would like to know more a little bit marketing. So that's kind of why I'm listening to it as well. Anyway, so that's kind of my presentation a little bit about the why Vengreso, why Frank. The last part is the teachable moment. But before I get to that, something that Mario mentioned about the book. Again, it comes back to the business that I talked about, Miller Heyman Group. They wrote 2 specific books. One that I purchased, actually, I was looking for it on my phone to be able to show it to you guys. But again, this is actually something that I start reading. New Strategy Selling. That's pretty much the one that I currently got it from a Kindle. I feel that it's gonna be able to help me understand a little more about the B2B, right? So that's I don't know if that answers your question a little bit, Mario.
It does. And I have one question for you. Other than the fact that I suggested that you should buy the Miller Heyman Strategic Selling and Conceptual Selling book, why do you want to learn that particular aspect of B2B sales? What do you think? Go ahead.
Well, simple. I believe that I have mastered the B2C. I worked for it for 8-9 years. I want to be able to go to the next level. I feel B2B is the next level, making big businesses, be able to deal. Obviously, at the beginning will be people in the company. But exactly. But what I want to do is to be able to get to the enterprise, to the high level companies, be able to get there to be a CEO. I want to be a CEO. I don't know if I told you this. I think I did. Yes, I want to get to that level. I won't get there tomorrow, but I need to get through this process. That's how I feel I'll get to it. And that's why I want to keep developing myself.
Thank you.
Teachable moment. Okay. This is the moment. This is something that I thought about how to explain it, because I know for a fact how to do it. So I'm sorry my voice comes a little bit down on this specific aspect, but it's a little shocking to me. So the way I see it is very simple. I started I'm originally from Lima, from Peru, South America, right? I'm currently in Colombia, so I have no business in Colombia. I'll tell you why I'm here. When I was 3 months on my mom's belly, my father decided to travel to the US and to look for a better life. And he traveled to the US, specifically in Denver, Colorado. He started there. And he said, I'm going to find a better future for us. I'm going to go there and I will come back for you guys. That's what my mom told me. He said, because I was in her belly. And he never actually called after that. He called for a couple months. After that, he went MIA. And by the age of 7, I received a call from him, and he told me, Frank, hi son, I'm your father. And I hung up the call because I didn't understand. My mother at the time, we were living in Peru, which is a country, I don't know, it was in the 90s. It was going through a little bit of a dictatorship, Alberto Fujimori. So similar to what Venezuela is going through. So one bottle of water will cost 3 times as much as usually does, right? Or milk, I'm sorry. So she needed to find that for me. So it was very difficult for her. She not only had to raise me, has to also raise my grandma, who was living for her at the time, and my aunt, who lost her job through all this commotion. So it was all 3 of us with her. She was the only one working, and she managed to be able to get us afloat and pay for my school, because here in Colombia and Peru, we pay for the school. It's not like in the States, sometimes it's for free. So those are things that happen, right? By the age of 11, my father called me and started having a little more better relationship with him. But I promised myself that if I ever have a son, I want to be there for him. So, because I know how he feels, right? So by the time he called me, 11, he said, why don't you come here? It's a better future. At the time, he was in Los Angeles, California. I told my mom then I would like to go. I went there, and for about 3 months, and I came back, and I was like shocked. I was like, my God, everybody speaks good English over there. I don't know any English. I don't know how to pronounce. So everybody was speaking in English very nice, and I was like, blah 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 blah, trying to do whatever my best impression of somebody who speaks English. It was bad. So I came back to Peru. And I grabbed a dictionary, and I learned one word every day to make sure that I could master that word and I know how to pronounce it. Next year, I traveled back, and I was able to do it. I was able to speak better, communicate better, and fluent as I am currently am. So I did that. I went to the States. I fast forward to my college life. I met somebody, and we had a very good relationship, a total of 9 years. And something good came out of that, which is my son, David. He's 10 years old. However, unfortunately, due to her status, she was only able to stay there. Certain times she needed to go back to Colombia. She went back to Colombia, and with my son. At the moment, she was 3 months pregnant. My dad advised me at the end, you're kind of desperate. You don't know what to do. You wanted them to keep them, but you can't keep them at the moment. So I asked my dad, what should I do? He said, well, it's Colombia, it's a third world country. What you should do is provide for him. So that's my son. So what I did was yes, it looks like the mom, thank God. So what I did was provide for him, right? So I worked in real estate. I started sending money for his, for clothes, everything that he needed. I started sending money for about a year. and 7-8 months. However, the last 6 months were the worst. It was definitely a situation when I felt I couldn't do it anymore, because I was pretty much denying what I promised myself once, which was, if I had a son, I was going to be there for him. And I knew how it felt to be without a father for a very long time. So I decided to buy a plane ticket and go to Colombia, and be able to come to Colombia and at the same time work for him, right? So be able to share moments like you see there, or moments with the family there, Lakers, to be able to be with him throughout the entire process, right? So yes, I had the money, had the car when I was in the States, but my teachable moment wasn't, none of that mattered, because the person that I needed to have the most, which was my son, I needed to be next to him. I gave up all that to be able to be here. And unfortunately, the relationship with the mom did not work. Again, it was a 9-year relationship, but at the end it did not work. But I could have left. I have nothing in Colombia other than him. I could have just left to another country or back to the States. But I decided to stay because he's 10 now, and I need to make sure that he grows up with a father who's going to teach him how to shave at the age of 12, because I as you can tell, have a lot of hair. Yeah, I needed somebody to teach me how to shave, and my mom didn't know how to do that. So I didn't have a father there, and I wanted to be there for my son whenever he asked me that, or whenever he asked me for anything about girls, whatever, but face to face. And that's like a teachable moment for me, because with that, I realized that regardless of the money and all that, the most important thing is to be able to be with the people you love and the people that love you, and be able to find also a job who allows you to do that, right? And that's it. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's kind of my 30 minutes. I think I went over for a couple of seconds. But that's kind of my teachable moment on this. I don't know. At this, I open the questions to you. If there's any questions.
I have a question for you, Frank.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna
what's behind you on your TV screen, and why did you do that?
Yes, I love the fact that you guys have the background. So I don't know how to do that. So I said I'm gonna put on my TV Vengreso, and
But I didn't let everyone notice that small little touch. So,
yes,
yeah.
thank you, Jack, for bringing. Yes, I say everybody has a background. I should have a background. So
Well, I don't. I'm not important enough yet. I don't have.
You'll get there. You'll get there. No, just kidding. So yeah. So that's kind of a little presentation here. I hope it makes.
Frank, are we okay on time, Jack, for a few questions?
Yeah, no worries.
So Frank, I have a question. With your background in B2C sales, and you have a lot of background and a lot of experience, as you shared with us, what do you see as your biggest learning curve as you come into selling B2B? And I'll give you a little hint on the kind of the topic that I'm really addressing, is that in B2B, in many cases, you're not selling to one individual, but you have to kind of figure out who the people are at a company that are really the decision makers. So how do you see your learning curve in that sales process?
Well, I mean, based on my experience, based on my experience, I come from a background of sales where, you also have to, sometimes you don't deal with a decision maker, right? Obviously. So this is in a way of business. But what I've done in the past is directly communicate, ask the hard questions. Will you be the only person who makes this decision? Is somebody else who's involved within this decision making? And it's like, yes, great. Can we get that person involved right now? No. Can we get a person involved later on? Try to ask the best questions to be able to filter situation. I'm not strange to that. That's something that I have done, because when you do cold calling, you always get the gatekeeper who always say, he's not here, he's not there. So again, it's a process of just asking the right questions. It might take me some time to be able to adjust, since a company, you have to talk to high level executives sometimes, and they might be busy, but I feel that I'm not strange to it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Frank, first, I want to thank you for sharing that personal story. That was really, really impressive. And, been through a lot, obviously. My question kind of piggybacks off of what Bernie just asked, but you taught yourself English by one word at a time.
Right.
There's something in your professional background where you've applied that same technique and had similar results?
Sales. um, I when I started in real estate, like I said, it was a friend's company, and we started together. Nobody taught me, right? They just taught me certain phrases here and there, and after that, you're on your own. So that's what I would say. It was a moment of just every rejection that I had to turn into a win. I got 7 minutes past the first after the answer, or I was able to talk to the decision making this time, or what moment did it fail you? So you become you study yourself, right? Where am I failing the most? Am I failing here? What do I need to do? Do I need to approach it in a different way? Maybe it's a question I'm asking, maybe it's too intrusive, and that's how I develop myself into a salesperson. So that's kind of why I'm familiar with, kind of what I like this, to be honest, because something I talked to Mario about is the fact that I could develop my sales skills even more when there's a program involved, and when he's gonna come over and I'm gonna be able to ask questions. So having a mentor type of situation, it's a win for me, because I never had that. You learn as you go, and in terms of sales, it came down to the same thing. So yeah. Okay.
Like for me, Frank, we've known each other a bit, and the
Yes.
first question that I asked you when we met a couple of days ago was, why the hell are you here? You come from a BPO call center background.
Yes.
You do it amazingly well. And to be honest, we kind of sat down and discussed if you were potentially going to leave and go back to a call center, if they were going to offer you more money. And I have to say that this is one of the strongest presentations that I've seen, but not only in terms of sales skills, but a real person and understanding what drives them, what their motivation is, why they're doing what they do every single day. And yeah, I mean, I really appreciate that story, probably more than you know. But yeah, I just wanted to make that very, very clear that actually, I genuinely believe that you will kill this. I genuinely believe that you're going to be someone that is going to be relentless, that is never going to stop, that is going to be at a point where you're driving Kurt and Mario crazy. It's like, hey, I need to do this. I want to follow up on this. How am I doing
Yes.
this? And I can see that. And I genuinely hope that the rest of the team is also seeing that as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Again, it's the BPO industry is great. It was great for me, but I'm a heart. I'm doing sales for the best of my life. And as you know, sales here is not well paid the way it should be, and they don't develop you here, so you're against the wall. I need to do developing of people based on what I learned, right? Based on what are the rejections that I had. But seeing this opportunity, I believe then that's the reason why I'm no longer in my job. I said I'm going to take this seriously. I was talking to my cats the entire morning with the presentation, the timer on, to make sure that I got it correctly. Yes, the only people who listen to me right now, because my son is at school, my wife is at work. So yeah, so to make sure that I nailed this as much as I can, as perfected as I could, hopefully it was very sincere from the heart, and I would not do this for a company I'm not taking seriously at all.
Excellent. Any last questions for
Yes.
us, Frank?
Yes, perfect. Thank you. We got to the closest.
Or I'm sorry. Well, before you go there, any last questions from anybody on the panel?
None from me. Thank you.
Frank, this is Kurt. I've got a question.
Hey, Kurt.
I don't know if it was covered here or previously. Have you ever worked, remotely and independently, like in the home office?
Yes, I did real estate when I came here to Colombia.
Yeah.
From cold calling. Again, it was with my friends, but at that moment, my friends and I were on a different level, and they move on to other businesses in construction and things like that, so they let me hang. But yeah, I've done that. I've done that.
Okay.
Explain.
Follow-up question on that. Since you've worked virtually as well, how do you handle clients who are non-responsive?
How do I handle clients who are not responsive?
Yeah, they're not responding to you. They're not responding to your emails or not setting an appointment with you. How do you handle them? How do you push them to close a sale?
Well, you need to do different types of follow-up. What I used to do is, obviously, when I call them, I send them emails. Then I call them. I put them on a little drive that I had on the side, and I call them after 2 weeks. You know, if they did not answer 2 weeks, I will call them in a month. I will never give up on them. But the key that has helped me in sales is try to keep my pipeline as big as I can. So constantly be contacting a lot of people, and as I do the follow up, I do it that perspective. You know, so I contact you, I set up an appointment for tomorrow. You don't show up, I send an email. Then I call you that day after. If that doesn't happen, I call you 3 days. If it doesn't happen, I call you 2 weeks. I send you another email in 2 weeks. If that doesn't work out, I didn't have text messages at my time, so probably I could do that now. But after a month, I'll be able to send them an email and also give them a call. You know, that's how I do the follow up with them. That's how I done it. The base that I've learned.
You should undergo the selling with sales navigator and the selling with linking individuals, so you'll know other steps on how to follow up with your customers.
You're 100% correct. That's the next step.
Go girl.
And learn LinkedIn more.
Thank you. Yes,
Very good.
that's the next step.
Excellent.
Okay.
I'm glad you're both a hunter and a closer, it sounds like.
Oh, thank you. Yes, cleaner. Actually, have you seen the
Cleaner.
Have you seen the book? Anyways, I'm gonna go to the last questions I want to make. I don't know, Ifrael, have you seen enough to or do you have any questions and concerns towards me to make a decision?
I'm not the decision maker, but
but you're here. I want to make sure
feel
that
like
you're in.
I'm actually contented with your presentation and how you handled all the questions that we thrown you.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Mike, what about you? Do you believe that I have answered all the questions correctly? Do you feel that I could move forward based on your perspective?
I do. I was impressed with the amount of research that you put into this in such a short period of time. And I do believe with more training and more research and more applying and more coaching, I do think you'd be a good fit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bernie, what about you? Have you seen enough? Do you have any questions? Do you believe that I should be able to go to the next level?
I do believe that you should go to the next level. I have a serious question and a fun question. The serious question is, will you pour yourself into the training content that we put in front of you? Will you just pour yourself into it to just really soak it all up?
Yes, something that I mentioned to Mario is that I invested in, I don't know if you heard, I'm sure you guys heard about Grant Cardone type of cells.
Yeah.
Yes, and different type of cells. I know that. We talked about it with Mario. Different type of approach.
Sales training, sales training.
Right, but
not anymore. I'm throwing it away after this.
Right, but Frank, my question is, we have an on-demand course, right? So that you would go through that. So my question is, would you pour yourself into that and listen to each module as often as you need to really just learn everything, and then ask questions to make sure that you've got it all up here?
Correct, because the more you learn, the more you earn, right? So I have to learn and develop my skills to make sure that I earn the money that I need from me and my family. So yes, the answer is yes, I have to.
Okay, my fun question is, also think about this one seriously. If you come on board, are you going to be willing to teach Mario to dress for success?
Yes, thank you, right? I'm glad Barry notices. Yes. Right? Anytime, of course. That's the answer. All right, good. Thank you, Bernie. Now we move on to Vivican.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I like your energy. I like your answers, the personal and the more corporate answers. There's a little nervousness, but that's to be expected. You've got some you got some big rocks here and some big names, and I can understand that yeah, I can understand that nervousness, but just understand we're all people and our clients are all just people too. Right. But you held the respect. And what I will say is that respect means a lot. It means a lot to us, and it's going to mean a lot to our, our prospects as well. And I guess my serious question is, do you know how to tango, and are you willing to teach Mario how to do that?
Well, I'm living in Colombia, so I know how to salsa, and I saw Mario's video on the keynote. He was dancing salsa. He was doing pretty good, so I don't know. I might ask him for some tips. So Thank
We
you.
might
thank
have
you.
you do a video on the sales tango.
Yes, I probably have to work on that. Thank you. Kirk, we get to you. Kirk, what do you feel? Do you feel I should go to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you demonstrated, Frank, is the most important part of hiring a salesperson, and the salesperson's skill, which is really the attitude and the passion piece of it. You can learn skills, and you've talked about some of the things you're doing to learn skills. So you can learn skills, but it's hard to learn attitude.
Right.
I always used to say that, like, attitude is probably something you learn from your mama in the first 3 or 4 years of your life. And I think you did a great job of demonstrating your winning attitude. So the answer to your question is yes. So my question is, when I was down visiting Lima and Peru about a year ago, having a wonderful time all over that country, I fell in love with a wonderful drink there. Do you know how to make a pisco sour?
Oh, what? Of course, I'll bring it right now. Of course, I know how to bring the sour. Peruvian who respects himself knows how to cook. So if there's something I know, is how to cook Peruvian food. By the way, if you guys haven't tried Peruvian food, you guys should go to Peruvian food.
Oh, you and Jack need to get together.
Yes. Jack? Oh yeah, Jack. Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you just say who's Jack? Really?
No. I was thinking about somebody else. I was like, is this an additional Jack I don't know about? No, yeah, definitely. Of course, Peruvian food is the best. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Corey. Okay, so now it comes down to Jack. Jack, what have you seen enough? I know we know each other from a while now.
Who's Jack?
Huh?
Who's Jack?
You're Jack.
It's Jack.
Yes,
Jack.
Yes, buddy. You showed me a different side of you today. I know the BPO account manager, director of ops. I know that side of you very, very well. And yeah, I was pleasantly impressed and pleasantly surprised about Frank, the salesman. I'm very, very excited to meet Mini Mario, who I know you're going to be in 6 months to a year. I know that you're going to absorb everything that he teaches you, and I don't have a sensible or fun question for you, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
And finally, Mario, have you seen enough to make a decision? Can we move forward to the next step? What doubts do you have? How can I clear those out?
Well, that's 4 questions, but you hit the most important one, is have I seen enough? And the answer to that is yes, I absolutely have. This is the first time on a panel interview that I will answer that question directly to the interviewee. So you are making panel history. Yes, yes, I've seen enough. And yes, single-handedly, you've scored the highest on a panel evaluation form than any other candidate who's come through the panel process. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And finally, yes, you have the job.
Perfect. That's it. Where do I sign is the next question. Okay, great.
And
thank you.
That's me now.
and that is the first time in panel history that a job has been confirmed on a panel. Excellent job, Frank. And
the one call closer. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time again. Thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I will tell you that it wasn't just the emotional side of the story that you told.
Take a breath.
Yeah. Go on, you can do this. Breathe through. You're all right.
Fabulous job.
Thank you.
Really good.
That's it. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's it.
Off with the camera.
I tried.
You tried.
I tried to do it. I was going to try to. Here we go. It wasn't just the emotional side of the story. It touched home for me personally on a personal level. And as we work together, I'll tell you more about my personal background. That story really touched home for me. And so, as a direct result, emotion is always a wonderful thing to use inside of the sales process. Always a wonderful thing, and it can really, if used the right way, it can really close your sale. And in this case, it closed the sale.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Thank you for that answer. I want to get this recording, by the way. If I'm making panel history. Yes.
Kurt, are you raising your hand or are you saying goodbye?
Yeah, I'm saying goodbye.
Okay, goodbye, everybody. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Frank. Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.